lineup, but this is really going to come down to who plays it better. But jumping right into game one, and Brian, TJ, take it away.
All right, well, we are getting right into the Miracle Mirror match right away. Casie on the bottom of the screen, YouKnowWP on the top. So what are these players looking for in the early turns?
Just looking for tempo, and a lot of times you can keep. You're looking for Auctioneer in this matchup. The Auctioneer is just incredibly important going into the mirror matchup, because if one player has Auctioneer and the other doesn't, it gives the player that does a big advantage. Definitely looking for that. A lot of times you'll see them keep it, only if they have good tempo to start from the early game, because you can just out pressure from the get-go. Yeah,
we saw in the previous match, maybe it was actually 2 matches ago, where now I'm losing. There's been so many matches today, I'm losing exactly what I'm talking about. But there was, I think it was actually Tice playing a Rogue Mirror, where he just got a little bit of extra damage in early on, was able to, because of that, force his opponent to kind of react to his possibility of burst later in the game. Just that early damage lead can be a very big deal.
Yeah. And both players sort of with similar openings here, and this is a big one. Whether or not to attack with the first dagger. Yeah, it's a debate that spans that stands the test of time. With rogue decks, and I'm in the camp of attacking phase to get that damage in early, but apparently Casie and YouKnowWP are not. I understand for YouKnowWP because he has a deadly poison.
Yep, still gonna hold on to that dagger. It looks like no stabbing just yet. The reasoning behind whether you attack with the dagger or not is, you don't want to be forced to re-dagger on a turn later on, where you may be able to either want to use deadly poison or kill a minion with the dagger attack, like say a Tomb Pillager, which maybe traded into an SI agent. So the mana efficiency is very important in those situations.
Yeah, and usually you'll see players attack when they know that they'll be re-daggering in one of their opening turns. Say if their hand is poor, or if they see their opponent passing turns, they know that they have room to re-dagger in one of the turns coming up, so they can afford to attack with it and get in that extra damage. But right now, Casie is taking an early board lead and an early damage lead, so YouKnowWP is going to have to spend a lot of resources here if he wants to remove both these SI agents. I guess just Deadly Poison and Eviscerate will deal with it.
Yeah, he can take them off the board fairly easily, not really able to advance his own board at the same time, however.
Yeah, which is a big deal. He can, Deadly Poison, Eviscerate, and then coin out an Earthring Farseer, but the coin has a lot of use in this matchup, whether it be to combo one of your spells, or later on with Gadget and Auctioneer, it becomes a draw. So it looks like he is just going to Azure Drake this turn and opt to leave the SI agents on the board.
Casie with an Azure Drake of his own, and does have that dagger remaining. He's going to trade in one of his SIs and just continue to push damage with the other.
Yeah. So Backstab picked up. Not really many minions here for YouKnowWP, which is not what you want unless you have Auctioneer, and he doesn't. He hasn't picked one up yet, so basically his only job right now is to remove. That's the only thing he can do right now, is remove minions from the board. But again, like you mentioned earlier, he's not developing his own stuff.
The Earthing Ring does come down and heal himself back up, and gives him the initiative on the board here.
Holy moly.
No, right, that was a quick Tomb Pillager into attack redagger. So Casie, he clearly knows exactly what he wants to be doing here.
He's whipping through these turns.
Yeah.
Jeez.
All right, so YouKnowWP, he picks up Deadly Poison number 2. Probably not going to see that used here just yet. He has, well, he could use the second Deadly Poison just to attack into the Tomb Pillager, but he does have Eviscerate, which can pretty cleanly remove it.
Yeah, so YouKnowWP, there's sometimes as the rogue, when you don't have Auctioneer and you have a handful of spells, you have to flip the switch in your brain.
Right.
Do I have to go aggressive? And what YouKnowWP now, he can set up the Cold Blood on the Earthring Farseer and conceal it, and just try and push damage and hope that he can end the game. He does have Cold Blood. He does have Eviscerate. So that right there is 8 damage. He could get the 6 damage from the Earthring Farseer in twice. With 2 attacks of Deadly Poison, he might be able to set up for a possible 3-turn lethal. And I think that's what he's doing right now. He's counting the math to see whether or not he can make that push.
Yeah,
and I agree with
that's what he's going for. He goes Cold Blood and just going to go ahead and conceal, leaving the Tomb Pillager up. He's not even going to use his Eviscerate. Wants to save that for that burst damage, as you mentioned. So this is a potentially a little bit of a risky move, but Casie doesn't really necessarily have great ways to stop this either. The Conceal keeps his Farseer away from any possible removal on the other side of the board.
Yeah, the thing here, though, is YouKnowWP. He didn't use the Eviscerate, which is good, because he didn't want to go all in on that line of play. Because he wasn't sure what kind of hand Casie would have, if he'd be able to heal up, which he did. So now he's quite a bit out of range of being able to do that.
Sap is a nice draw for YouKnowWP. It gives him the ability to at least slow Casey's hand, slow Casey's board down. So he's able to just get another 7-10 damage in with these two, putting Casie down to just 9 life. And he still has that Eviscerate in his hand, and now is very far ahead. Looking at Casey's side, he has Leroy plus Eviscerate. That represents 10 damage. I think YouKnowWP actually may be debating if he needs to coin Eviscerate.
Yeah.
Because if Casie, between Leroy, Eviscerate, if he has, and the minion in play rather, if he can find just a little bit of extra damage, he may be able to actually just close out this game next turn. If he found Deadly Poison, if this stays up, I think it actually going to end the game. So YouKnowWP, he decides, okay, I can't risk that. I have to take out this Violet Teacher right here.
It also protects these minions that he has on the board. He doesn't really need much more damage, so he's thinking, well, if one of these minions sticks, then I'm in a good spot. But Casie does draw into that Sap, so he is going to be able to put that Azure Drake back in the hand. But that also gives YouKnowWP another draw to find potentially even more damage.
It's interesting. He did choose to sap the Azure Drake. He could have chosen to sap Earth Ring Farseer. He's looking for the Leroy burst because you don't want his opponent to heal up. But this does give, as you mentioned, YouKnowWP another shot at some sort of burst of his own. He finds Auctioneer, not really what he needs right now. You know, this is a game that's coming down to the next couple of turns. The burst of card draw not available right now.
And he has to think whether or not to use the Phantom Knives this turn or save it for the Gadgetzan Auctioneer. But 3-mana card with Gadgetzan Auctioneer is not something you usually want to hold on to. And this at least gets 2 damage onto the Tomb Pillager, which isn't really that relevant. But who knows? It might be in the coming turns if he picks up an SI agent and still has to deal with it or something.
Yeah, if Casie can find Cold Blood or Eviscerate to go with his Leroy, he will have lethal next turn. He has multiple draws for both of them because of Phantom Knives. There's Cold Blood.
Wow.
Leroy, Cold Blood, that's going to do it. Casie, he was behind for quite a while that game, but has the burst to take down YouKnowWP in game 1.
Yeah, and you know that was